On today's episode of Your Daily Pasta, I found out my husband was having an affair with my mother. I don't really know how to start this. I've read so many wild stories here and never thought I'd have one of my own to share. Yet, here I am, typing it all out, trying to make sense of the insanity that's become my life. This feels unreal, but here we go. My husband and I have been together for 12 years, married for 8, with 2 beautiful kids, aged 6 and 3. I thought we were happy. We had our ups and downs, like any couple, but nothing that made me think our marriage was in any serious trouble. A few months ago, I noticed he started getting distant. He'd stay late at work, be glued to his phone, and generally act disinterested in anything to do with me or the kids. My gut told me something was off, but I was too scared to really dig into it. I didn't want to know the truth, but the truth came crashing down anyway. I found out he was having an affair. It started with some texts I found, messages from some her that were way too flirty to be work-related. When I confronted him, he denied it at first. Typical. But eventually, after more digging, he admitted it. He said it was just an emotional thing at first, but then it became physical. I felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. I didn't stick around to hear the details. I packed a bag and went to my parents' house with the kids. My mom was supportive, or at least she tried to be. She told me I deserved better, that he wasn't worth the tears I was shedding. She seemed pissed for me. And honestly, I was so grateful to have her in my corner. My mom had been my rock my whole life, and it felt good to have her there during this mess. We started the divorce proceedings, and it's been a nightmare. I wanted primary custody of my kids because, let's face it, he's the one who blew up our marriage. And the last few months, he had been basically checked out from them anyway. But here's where things get weird. He was adamantly arguing to primary custody. I was pretty surprised by that, but thought maybe he cared more about being a dad than I'd given him credit for. When I talked my mom about it, I had gone in with the thought of a flat 50-50ths. Yes, he had blown up our marriage, but I didn't want to take the father away from my kids, especially if he actually wanted to be involved. But she started saying things that honestly surprised me. Stuff like, "You're still young, honey. You don't want to be tied down with kids while you're trying to rebuild your life." Or, "Maybe it would be better for you to focus on yourself right now. The kids will adjust to living with their dad." It felt like a punch in the gut. Why would my own mother tell me to let go of my kids? I thought it was just her old school thinking. Like, maybe she was worried about me dating again. I'm only 33, so maybe she thought having kids full-time would make that difficult. And I honestly hadn't thought about that. But I didn't care. I definitely wasn't going to give up custody of my kids. Then one night, I overheard her on the phone. She was talking to someone that I couldn't make out, but what I heard made my blood run cold. I heard her say, "Don't worry, she's going to give up the kids. Just keep playing your part." I stood frozen in the hallway. My heart started pounding because something deep inside me knew what was going on before my head had even caught up and my mind started racing. I wanted to believe I was wrong, that I was just paranoid and stressed from the divorce, but I had to know. So I confronted her the next day. I asked her straight up, "Mom, who were you talking to last night?" She got defensive right away, which only confirmed my suspicions. I kept pressing until she finally broke down. And when she did, she told me the truth that shattered everything I thought I knew. The woman my husband was having an affair with was my mother. My own mother. I literally fell to my knees. I couldn't breathe. The betrayal was so deep, I felt like I was drowning in it. It wasn't just my husband, it was my mom, the woman who raised me, who I trusted more than anyone in the world. She'd been sleeping with him for God knows how long, and the entire time she had been conspiring against me. She had been planting seeds in my head, trying to manipulate me into giving up custody of my kids so she could be with them and keep him. They had this whole plan to build a new life together, with my children. I don't even know how to describe the rage and pain I'm feeling. It's like I'm trapped in some twisted soap opera. The people I loved most, the people who were supposed to love me the most, ripped my life apart and plotted to take everything from me. I left her house and haven't spoken to her since. As for my husband, he's been sending texts and calling, trying to explain. But what is there to explain? There's no coming back from this. The divorce is still ongoing, but now it's a full-blown war. I'm fighting for my kids with everything I have. And as much as it hurts, I'm determined to come out of this stronger. I have to. For my kids, for myself. Right now, I can barely think straight. Every day is just about surviving the next wave of emotions. But one thing's for sure, I'll never let them take my kids. They've already taken too much from me. Thanks for listening. I just needed to get this out. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to subscribe and click that notification bell for new uploads.